Welcome everybody to the big show. This is the third and final episode of hey, we got the coaches in town, so let's talk about some cool stuff. Today's episode,
how to be a top performing technician.
And now knowing what those are, how do you think the list was?
I think the list was awesome.
Oh,
so that's what's
so like I get a 4.5 and he gets an awesome.
Christian tells
Correct.
a joke,
which is okay.
4.6.
4.7 is what I gave it. Although I was thinking about it as we were going. I think I'd make it
And
more
much,
like
much more coming up on this edition of Service Drive Revolution. So this is the final in our 3-part series. So we talked about parts, we talked about service advisors, and then the only thing left is technicians, which is you, Hoagie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you guys had fun?
Awesome.
Yes, it's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You went from Negro Modelo to Stella?
Yeah.
So you're switching it up?
Yeah.
You're still on the Stella train?
I'm still there.
Christian got coffee, which is late in the day to be drinking coffee, but he doesn't care. He's wild. And
Same.
you're just drinking water?
No, it's coffee.
Coffee? It doesn't keep you guys from sleeping?
No, I'll sleep like a baby tonight. There's no doubt in my mind.
Same here.
Wow. No,
I will too, but it's because I didn't have coffee that I will
Fair
sleep
enough.
like a baby. So the interesting thing about Hoagie is that he finally let us meet his wife last night.
Yeah.
And
I finally let you.
She had to be quite impressed with this gang of misfits.
Yeah. No, she loved it though. It was great. It was great. That's one thing about, being remote employees, right? Is, she hadn't had the opportunity to meet everybody yet. So last night was great. We talked about it last episode a little bit as well. But no, I think it was really great. It's always a lot of fun when we get everybody together, and getting some of the wives along was a lot of fun too. I know she had a great time.
So she's a Chiefs fan like you are, Kansas City Chiefs?
She's it's funny because Grant asked her something similar last night. She's like, oh, I root for whatever, and pats me on the shoulder. I root for whatever he's rooting for, so that, it's a happy home at the end of the game.
That's great.
That is a great wife.
Yeah,
she is going for wife of the year.
Man, yeah, for sure.
I also thought she was super intently watching the game.
No, she would have had
just
Instagram
had
on
me
her phone,
fooled.
like somewhere in the
So you don't think she was looking at it for the same reason that Vicky?
No, I thought she wasn't quite as intense as Grant, but
No, I was Vicky.
Vicky and the punter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that could have been too.
Okay. Fair.
No, I think
So you guys gotta nobody knows context to this. So
Yeah.
you guys are talking about the Cowboys punter that was in front of us the whole time.
Directly in front of
Because
us.
we were sitting on the kind of visiting, but more Cowboys fans there than Charger fans, but the visiting side. And so the players were in front of us, and the punter kept warming up right there. And then what was Vicky doing?
Vicky enjoyed it.
Vicky was getting more.
He was eye candy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much.
She was all
like
about
she was singing
she was all
songs.
about his glutes.
Yeah.
There's a song about glutes that Vicky will sing.
She made it up.
You'd have to seen it.
While he was getting warmed
Sing
up,
it.
she was getting warmed up.
Yes.
Wow.
Like
I missed that.
A portion of it was, the song "All I Want for Christmas" is my 2 front teeth. That song.
She was singing that.
just
She was
sang-
serenading him.
Well, she sang it to I don't know who was standing there with me, but she sang it. Sitting beside you, right?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
No, I think you're just making this up.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, ask her. She can sing it again.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get to the list, Hoagie, one of the best stories you ever told me is when you were, would you say regional technician for Tesla? Is that how you would explain
that
it?
was our technical title, maybe something like that, regional technician.
So back when Tesla was just getting started, you were the Midwest,
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
but you would fly
different places.
different
Went over all over
places.
the world, right?
Yeah, there was 8 of us at the time, and
Yeah.
they had 2,300 cars, something like that, in Europe, China, and North America.
And then, true to Elon's marketing prowess or whatever, he had a lot of celebrities that had bought the cars, and you'll kind of explain some of them were special editions, and then you would get called to go fix them when they would break. And my favorite story that you have is the George Foreman one.
Yeah. So
and his brother, right?
Well, it's his nephew. So Martelli, he calls it Martelli, is like his estate or whatever on Lake Houston. So it's kind of up on the north. What is that? What is Lake Houston? Like the northwest side of Houston, kind of?
I think so,
I think
yeah.
it's just past the airport a little bit out towards that way. But anyway, regardless of where it is out there. So anyway, he has like kind of a compound, and he has this huge shop right at his house, and it's got his car collection in it.
But all of George's sons are named George.
George, right?
And then isn't his brother
Gary.
all his sons are named Gary?
Yeah.
That's hilarious
So his
in and
nephew,
of itself.
Gary, or one of the Garys or whatever it is, kind of runs his shop, kind of works for him there, or did at the time anyway. And so going there, car's not charging, going there to look at it, and I've been communicating with Gary, and anyway, get there and fixing it and stuff, and we tried to like get him up to date on services while we were there. We tried to contain as much stuff as we can, right? So we didn't have to, come back to the
What
car.
kind of services? By the way, this is the first Tesla.
Yeah, it's the first Tesla, the Roadster.
The Roadster. What kind of services would it have been due for?
So they had an annual service that we did.
Which consisted of what?
You're doing like high plot testing on the so that's high potential testing for like high voltage cables and stuff like that, and just kind of some inspections, greasing certain points on the car, stuff like that. So just little bits of maintenance stuff, but it was something at the time. The backside of it was something that we could actually charge for too, right? There was nothing to offset, at that time, 2010, they were hemorrhaging money, right? Like there was all types of different people asking me if I was, going to have a job the next month or whatever, because, they were just, it was, month by month at that time. But anyway, so I'm there, and comes time to settle up for that, and so Gary has George come out with his credit card to pay for it, and we kind of got to talking and chatting, and he seemed a little skeptical on like everyone else at the time, whether Tesla was going to kind of take off or whatever. And he had
we missed he had what were those called, founder cars?
Yeah.
So
he had a real early
he invested in Tesla.
Yeah, so those cars, I don't know what they cost. I never found out what they cost.
I think they were $1 million.
Substantially more. Yeah. So these anybody that had a founders club, you kind of knew they had stock. Right. They were
investors.
Yeah. So we were talking about a couple different things, and he was skeptical on whether Tesla was going to be a success, or the electric car itself was going to whether it was going to be that or hydrogen or whatever it was going to be, And so we're kind of going back and forth, and I'm putting my input in. And
hadn't you read Wired magazine or something?
Yeah. So, there was a article in Wired that had kind of stirred up some controversial.
Because they had historically been pro Tesla, and then they kind of turned their back, which then led to everybody in the news was Tesla is seconds away from death.
Yep, exactly. So that's kind of the. That's kind of what's surrounding it, and so anyway, we're talking through some of that stuff, and I'm a tech, and he's talking to me like I'm at the board meetings or something. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
I'm here right now.
Yeah. I was like,
were you actually worried?
Again. No, like about losing my job, or no, I don't think I was never worried, because even when I took the job, a ton of people were saying that same thing to me, because even when at that point in time, you know, but like I said, that whole 9, 10, 11, those years, nobody really knew whether the Tesla was going to make it or not. Model S kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. You know,
Didn't you say at one point, like your father or somebody was like, "Are you sure?" Like making a deal about you.
just about everybody I talked to, and trying to keep me to stay as a tech at BMW at the time. They were like, "Why are you going over there? Like they're going to be gone." And it's like, "Oh, well, if they are, I'll come back here."
You'll still take me back.
Yeah, and left on real good terms there and everything. But so anyway, we're talking and you know, we're going back and forth. And like I said, I really didn't know what else to say. And so he you know, and he was kind of leaving it like, say, I don't know if you know, George has a kind of, if you've ever heard him do interviews or anything, he has kind of a jolly voice or something, if you know what I mean. Like, and
He's very charismatic.
Yeah. And so he's just kind of like, yeah, I don't know, you know, I don't know about the electric car or whatever. And so I said, well, you know, I don't know. I mean, somebody once did an electric grill and it turned out pretty good. And so he started belly laughing and like, all right, you know. So, but yeah, that's one of my favorite stories too. So
Man, can you imagine what that stock's worth?
Oh,
Have you ever heard the story of Shaq? That he was like somewhere at the Mondrian or something in Hollywood, and he wanted to invest in stocks. And there were two guys talking about, they were there, it was the guys from Google, and they were just starting, and he put like 150 grand or something invested and forgot about it for like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Oh my.
it's crazy.
Crazy. So funny. Imagine what that, like
Yeah.
before it went public, you know,
Yeah.
it's nuts. Yeah, so I'm sure George, unless he sold it at some point, he's probably doing pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of quietly, I think, a really good businessman. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the surface that you do see, the grill and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's funny you bring up Shaq, because I don't think he's completely dissimilar to Shaq. I think he's a pretty business smart.
Yeah.
You know, the background and upbringing they had, they're both pretty disciplined individuals, and you know, you see a lot of that. But yeah.
You know, very similar, just talking about business models, and the problem with this, all of us sitting at a table, is we could go for 2 hours talking about cool stuff because it's so fun. But you know how Kim Kardashian now is doing the thing where she's going to do a brand, she's going to invest in that brand, and she wants equity. Shaq is doing the same thing now. So he's getting equity now. So the days of him, you know, pitching Popeye's chicken or rental cars or whatever it is that he's doing, he same thing. He's like, hey, because his approach to it was, you know, I'm gonna really work for your success if I'm, you know, hired by you. The outcome of that is they had a lot of success, and so now he realizes his value in the marketplace. Just like George had a piece of the Foreman thing, the grill.
There's supposed to be a really good story behind the grill. Like maybe he wasn't going to do it; they were actually going to get somebody else to do it. Maybe has anybody heard that?
No.
But I think there's a really good backstory of you know, him giving it a shot and the success that came about from that, versus maybe they were going to either give it to somebody else or they wanted somebody else, and I'm not saying he was the second choice.
Oh, I think he's
something
such a great pitch man for that thing.
for sure. But Shaq's the same way. Like I understand now he's bought into with the pizza thing.
Well, I think anything you see him in a commercial, just know that he's invested in it.
Oh,
so
really?
like, I've heard about the Ring, you know, that the doorbell with the camera and all that stuff. The guy, he ordered it one time, and the guys came out to install it in his house, and he was like, man, tell me about what this is. And like the owner of the business was the one installing it.
No kidding.
And the guy he was just asking about it. He goes, well, man, I'd love to help you guys out if you want me to. And
Didn't Kobe invest in the Ring too?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then
couple of those guys
and
did
so
that.
he just like kind of was like, I'll pitch for you. And like, if you go back and you look at old Ring commercials, the guy who founded it and Shaq are in commercials together, and they ended up selling that to Amazon.
Well, they got me. It's great.
Yeah, I got a couple of them in different places.
Right.
I have one in the kitchen to see if anybody can figure out how the drawers work. They're everywhere.
I know it. It came out. It's great.
You have to listen to another episode to find out about it.
Well, Hoagie's got great Tesla stories. His Manhattan ones are pretty great too.
Yeah.
Tell the one about the art curator.
Oh yeah.
Story too. Jeez.
Yeah. That's,
Have you guys heard this one?
I'm sure I have, but
You'll recognize it.
So so they sent me to New York, and there was a guy that ended up being pretty good buddies with, worked with quite a bit, named Will Duchette, and I think Will was originally from Boston, but anyway, we both spent a lot of time in New York, and we had they were basically kind of setting up service in New York City at the time.
Manhattan.
Manhattan. I think it was in the Chelsea Arts District is where that original gallery was. I don't know if there's still one down there or not. A lot's changed in 10 or 12 years or however long it's been. But yeah, so we were setting one up down there, and there was they were getting asked to not run the air compressor, like work on cars basically.
But you're in the artist district in an art gallery, right?
Yeah.
Did you have to roll the cars in on?
Yeah, like there had these metal ramps made that fit the stairs that were like cut out the shape of the stairs, and we had to set those ramps down and like drive the cars in and out off those stairs, and then there was just kind of in the back, it was basically the front of the gallery was kind of kind of car on demo, and then kind of tucked caddy corner in the corner was a lift.
But there were there was no dealerships around. There wasn't zoned for
no
automotive.
Right. So
you're using air compressors and normal stuff.
Yeah. So so there's like all those art galleries around, and one evening in the evenings they'll have like wine tastings and at those art galleries and stuff, just getting traffic and stuff, and anyway, so we're kind of leaving work and walking past a lot of those, and Will hears or we're walking into one of them, and he hears a compressor kick on, and we have been told not to run our compressor. There's like noise abatements and got complaints and stuff like that, and and in New York City, like there's just all types of stuff, right? Like all types of makeshift stuff. We just paid our parking tickets every day, so there's no parking anywhere. So cars that we are working on, are parked out front on the street, and we're just paying parking tickets just, because it's cheaper than parking, and you can actually get the car out when you need it, and stuff like that. Like there was all types of kind of hurdles to overcome, but.
So you're doing like a pop-up shop, like a pop-up service department kind of.
No, this was going to be an established New York City location.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just, Tesla's kind of model was to go into high-end, it still is to a certain extent, to go into high-end shopping centers and things like that, not necessarily what would be the best, service center or whatever. And so, that's kind of what they wanted to cater to, be part of that scene where there was traffic, art gallery, like stuff like that. That was more of what they were going for. So we're going through, an art show or whatever, just kind of walking through one of those. But yeah, he hears a compressor kick on, and he's like, "Is that an air compressor? Like where that's coming from?" He's asking one of the people at the gallery, and they're like, "Yeah, that's the curator, running his tools or whatever."
He's doing like restoration?
I don't know what he was doing exactly, but the art curator, working on some type of whatever, sculptures or whatever he was working on. So anyway, Will asked to talk to this guy, and he's like, "Hey, how are you? How are you doing that? They told us we can't run the compressor or whatever." And he's like, "Oh, you can get a permit or a license or whatever to be an art curator, and then you have that abatement or whatever." And so next thing you know, we're getting
$50
getting our permits to be an art curator, and and the abatement that.
So
comes
you
along
are
with it.
a registered art curator in Manhattan.
Yeah, got the permit or whatever they call it, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny, but that allows you to run a compressor, the noise abatement or whatever it was that gave you that workaround. But
Problem solver. That's all I got to say about that.
Which is what's so fun about that though is that when you're doing something that's new like that, 50% of what you're doing is creativity. Like there's no established norms when you're going into Manhattan with a company that's launching in the way that they were. It's nuts. Like it's all creativity and figuring. You had to solve problems. You if you didn't have the part, if you couldn't use an air, whatever it was, you had to figure it out, right?
Yeah, it's probably one of the best things that happened to me at that time was being put in that situation where you just figured it out. Like when you're somewhere,
when you're working for BMW. There's so many this is how we do it, and this is the process.
Like if I can't figure it out, you do a treble cap Puma case, or whatever.
But they're trying to control everything. Where this is wide open and there are no you're establishing the rules. In a sense, like probably some of the things you did might be norm now, right, for them. Yeah, for sure. And it was a great lesson in figuring it out. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it was whatever it was that came up. And we had a good team of people that helped each other and stuff. So you weren't alone, but at the end of the day, you were alone. Like I'm the only. I was in someone's parking garage in Houston, Texas, or wherever. And the difference between me going home tonight or tomorrow morning is me fixing the car. So then all of a sudden you start figuring stuff out pretty quick and
it's a small
figuring out what works.
It's a small pool to pull from 8 guys worldwide. Like there's probably 8 guys in some manufacturer that's covering the United States, but 8 guys worldwide.
There wasn't a ton, but it was interesting. But that and that really kind of leads into to my first one, and that is well, if you're forced in situations to figure it out, what you find yourself doing a lot of the time is keeping it simple, right? And I think that's something really important, especially for techs coming into the field today. It's really, really easy to get lost in a lot of different areas, and I wish, as techs today, I wish we had better, anything in the service industry. I think the training aspect of it is pretty, underserved, right? We kind of joke about it a lot when an advisor gets a job. They just tell them, or even a service manager, whoever, hey, there's your desk, there's your, And I think you get quite a bit of technical training, but the technical training, and it's funny because it's the way the industry has it set up, but it's set up for the industry to get frustrated as service managers, as service advisors, to get frustrated with the technician because they have the technical know-how, but they don't have the application yet, right? So you got all these new techs coming into the field. We get frustrated because they are a little bit prima donnas and, get frustrated they can't diagnose their way out of a wet paper bag. But a high hourly rate or whatever. So there's this weird frustration with them, and they have some of the book smarts, maybe they have some of the factory credentials, but they don't have the application knowledge, and a lot of it comes back to just keeping it simple, and I think that's a really important lesson that I learned is when you're forced to figure things out, when you're kind of on an island, when you're kind of by yourself. Most of the time, some of the most complicated things that I was able to figure out ended up being pretty simple problems, right? And a number of times I wish that I just would have kept it simple, from the beginning, right?
I mean, when you're saying keep it simple, are you talking about all aspects of being a tech, or are we talking about
give us an example.
diagnosing?
Yeah.
Are we talking about just
So diagnosing or doing a job for the first time, especially when you go on flat rate, there's a lot of anxiety about making hours and making a paycheck and all those
right.
things. So you speed everything up, and the speed of the game gets really fast. You make more mistakes, and so no, that was actually a perfect segue, Cliff, because what I was going to say is this bleeds into a lot of different things.
Well, yeah, like advisors, for example. Like, how many times can we show an advisor if you write 10 a day and really do a good job with that 10, you'll make more than if you write 20 a day and shortcut and don't call people back and miss stuff. And so walking before you run, in a sense, and doing it right.
Yes.
Kind of thinking about that keep it simple thing, what I've seen a lot of times with techs is that they glance over the simple because they're like, it can't be that easy. Like they almost, there's a weird thing about them that they know so much and they know so many things. It's like they skip over. I can't tell you how many times, like, because I don't know anything about cars. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but like when it comes to the mechanics of it, I don't know anything.
Or computers, or
we could make a long list,
or cameras.
short podcast, but so many times a tech could come to me like, I can't figure this out, and I'd pull up the little manual and I'd be like, did you check the fuse?
Yeah.
It's not the fuse. And I'd be like, did you check the fuse?
Yeah.
And they go back, and then they'd have to come back and admit that they didn't check the fuse, and it was like that simple the whole time.
Yeah.
And then the flat rate thing is a combination of like, if you want to make flat rate, keep the simple, and then when it gets complex, you embrace it, but you learn every single time around.
Yeah.
do you think we probably get off subject, so I'll be careful about that.
We
But
never get off the subject on the show.
The flat rate, right? And especially not these
Now with
episodes.
5 of us here. Oh my good lord.
But do you think with the flat rate thing that the reason why that's become such a polarizing, like it's been a polarizing thing, is because it's not just simple thing like, work on 3 cars and do really good on the MPIs and inspections and keeping it simple that way? I mean, is that kind of the same thing?
I think a part of it too is like these kids, when they go into school, they're promised to, because kids don't want to go in, they're promised they're going to make all this money and that it's going to be easy. And then reality, when you hit a dealership, like think about you're 22 or something, you think, oh, okay, I'm going to make 6 figures, and then you get into the dealership, it's like, oh, there's a production element to this. So I think kind of like Kogi was saying at the top, is a lot of this too is in the education. Like they're not necessarily promoting that in some of these schools, in the sense that if they were, then the kids wouldn't want to be there. So I see that all the time, that there's just a gap of, well, okay, now welcome to the real world.
Right.
Yeah, and you eat humble hot pie for the first 6 months.
Which is a failure in the training, really.
It's a sign of the time. So the pressure just transfers, right? So what is it now? 7 techs are leaving the field for every 1 coming in. Yeah. And if not more, that stat's probably behind already. And so just like we know that stat to be true for us, and what's not as well known is that a lot of these trade schools, their enrollments are down, closing locations down, all that stuff, right? Sure. So they're trying to draw these guys in, and to Chris's point, they're telling them, hey, you can make $1 million a year, and all you got to do is learn how to plug this laptop in. It's going to tell you what's wrong with the car, and the car's going to fix itself. That's so they're kind of sold this bag of goods, and and then you get to the dealership, and there's a lot of hard work attached to it to be a successful.
You got a hot engine with hot liquids and like
all that.
It's not a joke.
Right. So
when remembering back and some of the guys that were coming in, because of where I'm located at, we had the NASCAR tech there, and that was a big thing. And these guys would go in, and they would come to the store, and I can rebuild a motor, and I can set up a NASCAR. I just need you to change the oil and tighten a drain plug and make sure the lug nuts are tightened. And it was that stuff. So I think when you're talking about keeping it simple and keeping the basics, like just do the basic stuff. That's great.
Yeah, and all those simple things. If you do all those things well, it leads to other things, right? There's a starting point for all of it, but there's definitely some disconnections there, and I started with that one because it's as number one because it's as deep as it is wide. Obviously, just opening this conversation up. But one of the things I think that's important to segue in is for number two, kind of on this same subject, is a focused hustle is the right speed.
Oh yeah.
Focused hustle is the right speed. It's very, very important, right? So, yeah, you don't want to be the guy that doesn't care about his production or his paycheck, right? And then when you go to flat rate, there's this urgency, to make all you can. But most shops have that guy in their shop where they're like, man, Cliff, I don't know how he does it. The dude's a machine. No, look at him. It doesn't even look like he's doing anything.
Yeah.
But he's a machine. Like, I don't know how he does it. The guy makes, 8 million hours a pay period or whatever, but I don't know how he does it. Well, the thing is that, there's a focused hustle, right? And little things that you'll notice about that guy is you're not going to see him at the back parts counter very often.
He's not getting coffee 5 times a day.
Yeah. He has a morning routine. He comes in, cleanliness is godliness.
No.
His stall pretty much looks the same way every night when he goes home. There's always something on his rack when he goes home at night.
You're not ever walking around asking where he is.
Yeah,
it's good.
his tools are clean and put away. So
he doesn't have time to talk about a lot of the.
Right.
Yeah,
He's not up on the local gossip.
yeah,
Most people think he's rude because he doesn't hang out and talk to anybody.
Yeah.
He just gets it done.
Yeah, and so when you look at those guys, that's a common trend for sure, and
Or girls.
or girls, for sure.
Yep.
And honestly, I'm seeing a lot of really good female techs nowadays.
Only if they got the right uniform.
I'm so glad you guys are being politically correct because often on this show,
Yeah,
It's a different dynamic.
do you see what this feels like?
Yeah, it's
Just consider it
almost
of others.
uncomfortable for me.
Yeah,
But if they got the right uniform, from what I'd heard,
don't get him started on
Previous.
the uniforms.
Wonderfully formed.
Remember what did we say? If you have to ask if you can say it on the show, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So let me get this straight. You're asking him about female techs uniforms?
no,
That
no,
was
no.
the-
I'm not asking him
Yeah, that's what
to
I
make
thought,
them.
too.
out.
Here we go.
That's
That
not what I'm
is
asking.
what he
Might
was
not
asking
be the
about. I
question
heard
to
it.
ask.
Yeah, I know, but I was.
We were going really good with the politically
Yeah,
correctness.
yeah. And I got
then
us a
you're
little off
serving up a
charge.
T-ball
Yeah.
that could go the other way.
So should I should have
think
said
you just
parts hold and just.
You just
Just let him.
that.
Yeah.
Where I was headed with it is
Number 2.
a lot of these things I was talking about. Female techs a lot of times are highly organized. A lot of these things we were talking about.
Good reset.
Not dissimilar to a lot of really great female advisors are the same way, right? They kind of have that more naturally.
We're
built
managers.
into
Some of
their
our
male
best,
counterpart.
some
For
best
sure.
Many of our
managers.
best managers
Yeah.
are females.
Yeah.
On the tech and just the right speed, focused hustle, and you were talking about hanging out at the parts counter, the water cooler, talking about the football game.
Yeah, in your arena.
What?
Sorry.
That I hit with parts first?
Parts, water cooler, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you mean.
Mike's in the way. Nobody can see.
Oh,
There you go.
It says parts hold. Most people are listening to this, by the way.
that's a good point.
They're not reading sign language.
Focused hustle.
Yes.
Focused hustle. Number 2, focused hustle.
But I think it's a great because those guys are like, hey, just bring it to me. They're handing off the R really quick and explaining in detail and not, hanging out and getting involved.
Car out,
There's-
car in. Car out, car in. I always think about that with those techs.
And I love the point of they've got a car in their bay when they leave at night.
That's right.
Yeah.
right.
So, focused hustle. One of the best things I think you can teach a technician surrounding that is everything you are doing you're kind of running through the filter of, does this produce a flat rate hour? So is what I'm doing right now, does it produce a flat rate hour, or is it investing in a future flat rate hour?
That's great.
Okay, so it's a hard thing, especially if you are a high performing technician. I just wanted to be left alone. Like, just leave me alone. Just let me. You want me to fix cars, I want to fix cars. And I think it was Grant mentioned it a little bit earlier. They even sometimes look at that guy as a jerk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I was super guilty of that.
No way.
And yeah. Believe it or not.
Shocking.
No
way. But it was a hard lesson for me to learn. And so, and what I doing right now, does it produce a flat rate hour? And the only alternative to that that's acceptable is, in what I'm doing right now, investing in a future flat rate hour. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn, that helping the advisor, going and test driving with a customer, all of those, once I got better at all of that, helping parts, whatever it was, the universe sends that stuff back to you, right? When you're helping out customers, helping out advisors, it comes full circle, right?
I think that thing that you said about, does it lead to a future hour, I think is really, really, really important, because I know techs a lot of times, at least from an advisor standpoint, it seems like it's all about, they're very like, they think in the micro, right? Like, not in the macro. So it's very much like, what is this doing for me right this moment? Nothing else is going on in their brain. And so
but I get paid for that.
Correct. That's really important. That's really important.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, especially from an advisor standpoint, because you're thinking of what this could be down the road. You have two competing thoughts here, right? Like, you're having an advisor that's thinking about, this is a customer I'm trying to get back to come back in and be my customer for life, and they're going to do things down the road. Whereas the technician's like, what is this thing going to pay me right now? Like, that's really what I care about.
Yeah.
But I do think about the guys that I've worked with that are high performing technicians, and they were willing to ride with the customer. They were willing to put in and do something extra.
Well, because they knew that it saved them time.
That's the thing, yeah.
But they were investing in
Because they knew that RO was coming back.
Yeah.
So why not just get right to the source?
Yeah, so I think a little bit self-serving, but it's the right self-serving in that sense too.
Yeah, I think too, sometimes
It's an alignment.
Sometimes on those drives, the customer would come back and go, no, it's normal.
Yeah,
or
'cause you planted the
they
seed it
explained it, or
Yeah.
And the customer's happy.
Yeah.
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 you're like, there was a lot of that with BMWs. Like, yeah, the shift's weird. That's how it is.
Yeah.
You bought an SMG.
Right.
You're gonna need your kidneys replaced in 2 years.
Yeah.
You thought, you thought it was just a fancy. You thought it was a fancy car, but you bought a race car.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't even know where there's a track.
So funny. It's so true. So number 3, work the cars, not the system. Work the cars, not the system.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You kind of goes back into flat rate, and you want to make a paycheck. You're trying to do all of that stuff, and it's really easy to look around you and see the guy that's making good hours, and how is he doing that, and I'm not, and I got a better toolbox than he does, I got whatever, and I'm smarter than that guy or whatever, and so you start if somebody's doing good, then you start getting skeptical of that person, right? We see that all the time in the comp. If somebody starts performing really well in the comp, and for those of you listening that don't know our comp, we talked about it on another episode just recently, but we have a nationwide comp that stores that are on our program, the advisors participate in every month. And it's funny because if an advisor, and I always tell my stores too, I love it when somebody wants to question their results.
Yes.
I feel like you've arrived when someone else is questioning, questioning
it's
your,
not true.
You're on the radar.
Yeah.
on the radar. Yeah.
Did they make a typo when they?
Your results are so good that somebody else is believing that something's wrong with them, So
That reminds me a little bit of comp names.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to ask you a question, Hoagie. What do you get when you cross a cow and a great white shark?
A cow and a great white shark.
I really want to get one of these right. I never get it.
They're not meant to be. Then there wouldn't be a joke. What? I feel like tell us.
I don't know, but I wouldn't want to milk it.
4.7.
It's not a
Okay.
slice of pizza.
Oh, Grant for years has been grading my jokes, and he's
Was that on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5?
10. Like 5 is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's tough.
I don't. If you
satisfied.
watch the chat on some of the things, that often gets sent in there.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm on that chat.
No. I'm saying like on a Zoom call or whatever. If he delivers them, there'll be one placed in there.
On like the quarterly meetings.
Yeah, the quarterly meeting's so great. My jokes. I feel like I've gotten on a scale of 1 to 10. I think I've gotten like above an 8 once with Grant. He's
Hey,
He's a connoisseur.
What's
he's
the
a tough
average
audience.
give out?
3.
Does it start with what? It's
no,
kind of
I would say the average give out would probably be around between a 5 and a 6. I would say probably a 6.5 to a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything beyond that is like that's
God, I haven't
stellar.
laughed this hard at some.
Right.
Okay,
right.
let's-
That's right.
So yeah, in working the car is not the system. It's easy to look around, and start trying to think, this guy gets all the gravy tickets. And the other thing was there's legitimate cases sometimes where that is happening.
Sure.
It is happening.
I would say that's like 10% though. Like
Yeah,
every time I've
pretty
had
rare.
technicians complain about it being unfair and we did an audit,
Yep, that's exactly right.
it's and then the worst part of the whole thing is when you show them,
Yeah,
they that's just their default setting is to be skeptical.
yeah, it's way more
And so-
feelings than fact, right, Christian?
Yep,
As Christian
always.
would say. So, so I think one of the important things is these high-performing techs, and kind of a hard lesson to learn is there's no point in working the system. There's no point in those. None of those guys are working the system. Give me a car, I'll give you hours. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's a warranty, if it's internal,
Right.
if it's customer pay, if it's got 20,000 miles or 120,000 miles, right? Like they're just one step closer to the next thing.
Right.
It's just and they're just machines. Like they're just doing it consistently, and it's a focused hustle. And I think one of the biggest parts of that is the multi-point inspection and getting good with your multi-point inspection and having a system with it. The great techs with their MPIs, man, on the way into the shop, as soon as they get into a car, they have started their multi-point inspection. Lights, I'm checking stuff on the way in. I'm able to check through the reflection in the glass. I don't need anybody to check my tail lights. I check my tail lights at a certain point because I knew in the reflection I could see everything, and I stopped for a second and see it all. I don't have to yell at the guy in the stall behind me, hey, left, right, brake light, They're doing it on the way in. I'm checking wipers, I'm checking washer fluid, everything, and I haven't even racked a car yet. But I had to drive the car in anyway. And so, work the car, not the system. There's no reason to worry about that guy, and maybe he is working the system. Like Chris said, 90% of the time they're not. But once you learn whether it's warranty, having good paperwork, it's amazing how when you document your paperwork the right way, whether it's customer pay or warranty, how well it serves you. A good documented warranty story and kind of a good practice for this that I think we don't spend enough time teaching techs is literally in your tech story, in your CCCs, in the correction field. Step 1 should be labeled with a 1. 1, here's what I did first. 2, here's what I did second. 3, here's what I did.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what a warranty clerk can get you paid when you give them the information.
Yeah.
So we get upset that warranty jobs, don't get me wrong, like I hear everybody, I know warranty doesn't pay what it should in most situations. That's not what I'm saying here. But it's amazing what a warranty clerk can get for you when they're given the information. So, work the car, not the system. Really, really important. And the crux of that, perhaps, is a high quality multi-point inspection. And the high performing techs, like they're they're going through it and they got a system for it. So it doesn't matter if the car has a laundry list or it needs 2 things. One doesn't take a whole lot more time than the other.
Yeah.
And they're doing it the same every time. And they're not worried about the guy next to them at all. It's not on their radar.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. When I go back in my mind, not only as an advisor working with techs, but in running a department, the guys that were the high-performing advisors, I never heard them talk about another tech.
Yeah.
Or a high-performing tech. I never heard them mention another tech in any, like I never heard from them about Jeff or, like they just came in, did their work, left. They never talked about anybody else.
Which is the opposite of advisors, right? The advisors are almost like the better advisor knows the numbers, and then the better techs just keep their eyes on their own paper.
Yeah, they're not concerned with what everyone else is doing because they kind of know their value and they know what they're providing, and so they're just like, yeah, I don't care.
I think it goes to number 2, focused hustle.
Yeah,
It's the right speed.
I kind of want to get that tattooed. Like, focus hustle equals right
I think you
speed.
do it on your
how do we make that happen?
Like a neck tattoo.
Ooh,
Yeah,
there
Like
go.
you want to get that tonight?
I mean,
Let's do
it's
it.
Top Dog Week.
Can you imagine walking into that tattoo shop? They're like, what?
Like a necklace. It'd be so great.
That would be awesome.
Did it misspell a letter or something like that?
There's a lot that my girl will tolerate, but a neck tattoo that says focus hustle. I don't think it's gonna
they moved the
fly.
S and a T and it's focus Hutzel.
Like the movie with no regrets.
Yes.
No regrets.
You sure? Not even one letter? All right, so my last one is to stay positive and manage to the middle. So
Oh, it's great.
one time I heard it, and a tech was saying it in passing, but he said, "You're always only one broken bolt away from a bad day," right? Like everything's going right, and you break that bolt, and we already told the customer the car was going today, just all of those things, and there's plenty of opportunity for things to not go the right way. It's never it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems, right? And the more you're able to keep that mindset and keep a positive mindset, it keeps you from kind of buying into the fear and or buying into the negativity. And that's another thing I would say about high performing techs is not only are they kind of emotionally in a good place, right? Because you'll see the ebbs and flows of techs, right? Like when they break that bolt or whatever, the guy that's taken his 3-pound dead blow hammer to the workbench because he just broke a bolt, right? Is not managing to the middle, right? But those guys with that focused hustle, they are.
Yeah.
They're kind of calm, cool, and collected, and and I think that's really important. And I think something that's not talked about enough is those guys, whether it's the water cooler or the back parts counter or whatever. The other thing they don't participate in is the negativity. The shop today has become a breeding ground for negative conversation, and every day we kind of come to work with this tank of mental and emotional energy, right? And some days it's low and some days it's high, but the more you can kind of keep it in the middle, the better. And if you're participating in those negative conversations a lot, you don't know it, but you're draining that tank, right? Like,
Yeah.
and why the psychology of that is true is just think about it. Like, if I'm participating in all that negative talk, whether it's politics or the latest thing corporate's making us do, or BMW's making us get pre-authorization on this, and it's stupid, and warranty doesn't make it, whatever it is. If I'm participating in those negative conversations and letting all that stuff that I can't control fill my head, and then I go back to the car to diagnose a difficult problem, where's my head at? Where's my emotional state? All that stuff. So manage to the middle. They focus on positive things. They're not buying into that negative talk. And a lot of times I think for me, once I figured that out and how much better I was when I didn't participate in that, it wasn't so much that I was too busy making hours. I was too busy to participate in that because I just learned it didn't serve me. And stay positive and manage to the middle. You're only one broken bolt away.
That's great.
That's great. So recap the list.
So we have our first one was keep it simple, right? Our second one was focused hustle, Christian's new tattoo. Our third one was work the cars, not the system. And our last one was manage to the middle.
Great stuff.
Awesome list.
That was fun, you guys. It was a fun little series.
I liked it. Yeah, it was good.
It's good.
A lot of fun. Thanks for having us.
I like that we did this round table instead of individual.
Well, it's a square
Going on.
table, technically.
What?
It's a square table.
No, that's a term for everybody sitting around the table. Like, we're the round table, not.
Not this thing.
It's what we're doing that makes it.
Next time.
It's awesome. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.